Greetings, family. Peace and blessings to everyone. Hopefully, everybody is having a wonderful weekend this far. It is yours truly. I am Amari. I am the founder of Uwa Pele Movement. My queen, Amari, is the co-founder. In Uwa Pele Movement, we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. Uwapele is a Yoruba word which stands for gentle character. We also focus on Iri, which stands for good character. And on today, the subject matter is going to be very intense on today. Again, not full of anger, you understand, but it's just going to be a subject matter I believe that needs to be addressed because of what I'm seeing out here today in regards to, people praying for the ones who want to see us dead. Okay. And this issue has to be addressed because a good brother of mine, he's a Christian brother, and him and I had a discussion in regards to not praying for our enemies. Okay. And so we're going to deal with that on today. Let me look at the comments out here too, because I want to make sure everybody is heard out on today. We're going to go in on this today. Okay, because the title is Fighting Racism. Is it hate or is it self-defense? Again, the title today is Fighting Racism. Is it hate or is it self-defense? Okay, so I see a lot of people out here, that claim to be Christian and, talking about praying for our enemies. Okay, now here's the issue, that I'm having when, you say pray for your enemies. Okay, now I'm going to give you some Bible verses and I'm going to help you to see how it's an oxymoron to pray for your enemies. Okay, because in the very same Bible that you read from, I'm going to give you some verses about prayers against your enemies. Peace and blessings to you too, family, whoever that is. Unfortunately, I can't see who you are, but greetings to you too, and thank you for the love sent to my queen, and I appreciate it. Okay, now I'm gonna give you some Bible verses, and I'm gonna show you that I'm not wrong for not praying for my enemy. Because, see, this is the reason why I keep saying that there's confusion. Okay, when you read the Bible, this is the reason why I keep telling people that you need to read the Bible with discernment. There are some good things in there. Okay, loving your wife and loving your children and being a loving person and spreading love. So I don't refute everything, but I also will not overlook the negative things too. And this is one of them. Okay, check it out now. Now I'm going to show you in the Bible where it says, Psalms chapter number 44, verse number 7. It says, now watch this now. Watch this. This is in the Bible, that you profess to follow after. Psalms 44, verse number 7. But you have saved us from our adversaries, and you have put to shame those who hate us. Okay. Psalms 44 and 7. I'm going to read it again. But you have saved us from our adversaries, and you have put to shame those who hate us. Psalms 18, verse number 48. He delivers me from my enemies. Surely you will lift me above those who rise up against me. You rescue me from the violent man. Psalms 138, verse number 7. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you will revive me. You will stretch forth your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand will save me. Now let's go to the New Testament for those who say, oh, that's Old Testament. Okay, I got you. Let's go there then. Let's do it. Luke chapter number 1, verse number 71. Salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us. Okay, again. Salvation, Luke chapter number 1, verse number 71. Salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us. Now, when you pray the Our Father prayer, in the Our Father prayer, what does it say? Deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil. Now, that is in the Our Father prayer that you pray. In that prayer, you pray that prayer for you to be delivered from evil. Now, riddle me this. How is it then logical to pray then for your enemy to live when they're trying to kill you, when even the very Bible that you read, and I just read it to you, the prayer's in there for your enemies not to kill you, to deliver you from your enemies, to rise up against your enemies, right? You say, deliver me from evil. That's what you ask. Is it not delivering from evil if your enemy is slayed by the hand of the God that you say that you serve? Are you telling me that number 45 is a righteous person? Are you telling me that this person is not wicked? Are you telling me number 45 is not evil? You are praying to be delivered from evil, but yet you're praying for someone who is evil and who is spreading wickedness in this world. You're praying for them to live. Why would you pray for somebody to live who is seeking out to kill you? Do you know that's like praying for your enemy to be at the door and you're praying for the door to be open so your enemy could come in and kill you? Do you understand that? Praying for your enemy is equivalent to like praying for the slave master that enslaved our ancestors. If the slave master was on their sick bed and get ready to transition from the sickness that the slave master have, okay, and praying that the slave master get healed just so they can live to continue to persecute you, to continue to whip you with a whip, to continue to make you work for free, to continue to rape and to commit all type of atrocities to you. That is equivalent to praying for number 45. And that's right, I said it. That makes absolutely no logical sense whatsoever. And this is going to be a straight to the point video. Listen, I'm a retired Marine veteran. Okay. When I went to Iraq, and I want you to pay very close attention to the analogy I'm using, and hopefully you capture what I'm saying. When I went to Iraq, when the Iraqis were firing at me and I fired back, do you call that hate? Or do you call that self-defense? I'm going to put the question on the table again. I'm in combat. They're firing at me. I fire back. Am I firing back because I hate the person I'm firing at? Or is it because I'm defending myself? Okay. See, some of you out there that's listening, some of you misconstrue when we fight against injustice. You want to call it hate when it's not hate. It has everything to do with self-defense. If a racist, and I have a right to bear arms because I do not have any federal offense, I had to do a background check when I became a concealed weapons carrier. And they taught us self-defense. They taught us what's considered to be defending yourself. Do you not know, even with self-defense, that if the person poses no threat, that you're not supposed to harm them? Even with self-defense. My question is, what type of threat do we pose as African people who have been enslaved, who have been stripped of who we are? We was taken from our homeland. We was taken from our economical resources. We were literally stripped from ourselves. We were made to work for free. And then when we were released from slavery, we was told to fend for ourselves. So you have people who were released, who don't know who they are, who had no military to defend them, who had no weapons, who had no economic power. But yet these racist people, who are psychotic, by the way, say that we pose a threat when their people owns the most wealth in this world, and when they, as races, the races, okay, have acquired, okay, land and riches through bullying, murdering other people to gain their financial gain, but yet we're the threat. They're the ones who went into our countries and colonized it and forced their religion, forced their culture on us. But yet we're the one that's posed a threat. But yet when we rebel and we say, you are not going to continue to impose your racist ideologies on us. And I'm talking about even not just verbally doing this, but physically doing this when we're attacked, when we did nothing wrong. And we defend ourselves, and we defend our women, and we defend our children like the Deacons of Defense did, and like the Black Panthers did. Then we pose a threat. Then now all of a sudden we the threat. Now when we speak out against the injustices that has been done to us and the atrocities that has been happening to us since we got here and up until this point, even to date, okay, we're considered to be the problem. And when you speak out against these things and you say that if you put a hand on me, I'll kill you, oh, it's considered to be hate. If you put a hand on my wife, if you put a hand on my children, if you put a hand on my brother and sister, if you put a hand on my elders, if you put a hand on my people, I'm going to take you out. Now we're talking about, oh, that's not love, that's hate. No, that is love. What man and woman in their right mind is going to allow someone to harm their child or to harm their children or to harm their family? So again, I ask you, is that hate or is that self-defense? Is it hate or is it love? That's the question. Now, let us deal with 45, right? You know, a lot of you Christians, you quote the Bible so much, and I'm questioning about whether or not you really believe in what you say you believe in. And some of you, I have to challenge you on this, because does not your Bible even say you reap what you sow? Doesn't it say that? Doesn't the Bible say you reap what you sow? So did he not refuse to wear a mask when he knew about the coronavirus and how severe the coronavirus was harming people and taking the lives of people? And it is known that he knew. Anybody who watched the news heard him being interviewed. And he knew how severe the coronavirus was. And he stood up before the citizens of America and he lied. And then he justified it. He said, well, I didn't want them to panic. So is it not fair then? Should he transition from the virus, just like so many others have, because of him not wanting us to wear masks? And basically, in other words, you don't want us to protect ourselves. You basically want death to germinate throughout this nation and continue to kill the U.S. citizens that you're supposed to be defending. He has led people to the slaughter. He's supposed to be the example of leadership, and the example of leadership of this nation did not wear a mask, and he's suffering now from the consequences of not doing what an intelligent person would do when they have all the evidence ever before them. But see, that's what psychosis does to you. See, that this is the mind of racist people. See, this will happen to racist people, because see, racist people, they refuse to face reality, just like they refuse to face the fact that we're the ones who created the pyramids. We're the ones who created the street lights. We're the ones who created the gas masks. We're the ones who created surgery and operation and medicine. It is not their pictures on the walls of Kemet, it's ours. So it doesn't amaze me, you know what I'm saying, that they refuse to believe a simple thing like the coronavirus will kill you, when you have numerous news reporters reporting the deaths of those who's dying from the coronavirus. But then again, you have some brainwashed African people out here who refuse to accept the reality that that virus is serious. When you have nurses putting out videos going viral on Facebook who contracted the coronavirus and telling you to protect yourself, and that is real. But some of you fools out there continue to ignore wisdom, and you'll end up contracting it, and then you're going to be singing the song, oh, I wish I would have had listened. Oh, woe is me. Oh, now you want people to feel sorry for you. Queen Mother Carnetta Water says, speak the truth to power, brother. We as a people had to stop being so scary. We are at war. Right on, mother. Right on. And she's a freedom fighter here in Memphis, Tennessee. Absolutely. Queen Mother said, you reap what you sow. I have no sympathy. My heart is for the 200,000 people who have died. Exactly. What about their families? What about their families? What about them? One of the Facebook users says the whole mask issue is sad. I go into establishments that require masks, and yet here go them. Well, I'm gonna just say this. Here goes people all up in there with no mask or being asked to leave. Queen Vivian Reed said, watch it now, too much truth. One of the users said he got what he was looking for. One user said you can't move forward without addressing the past. They say get over it, that's the past, etc. But things in the past not dealt with become a tragic later. Absolutely. Greetings to you too, Queen Vivian. We appreciate you. All right. I'm just looking for some more comments out here, family. I want to make sure you get your comments in there. Make sure I give everybody the opportunity to speak, because this is a family discussion. Okay, so I want this to be a dialogue, and I'm gonna look out there periodically to see what you are saying. Okay, so with that being said, right, we have a man who has came into office and has taken the KKK off of the terrorist list. We have a man who has placed racists, known racists, in the attorney general seat that deals with civil rights, that deals with enforcing the laws of the Constitution. A racist will not do that, and this is the reason why we as a people continue to experience injustice, and this is the reason why that voting doesn't work, because you have racist politicians in power. Okay, this is the reason why voter suppression exists. This is the reason why gerrymandering exists. Okay, this is the reason why redlining exists. This is the reason why gentrification exists. So when we fight against racism, it has nothing to do with hate. We're the ones that's being hated on. It's just like the Honorable Minister Malcolm X, peace and blessing be upon him. He said that the media will have you hating the victim and loving the attacker. And I'm paraphrasing it. Okay? This is what happens when our people are turned away from our spirituality. Because in our spirituality, it does not tell you to pray for your enemies. The only thing I pray for is that their mind will be set free from those racist ideologies that they have been taught. That's my prayer. That's my prayer. They're going to pray for you right there. That's what I pray for. Do you think that a bully that bullies people, if a bully then come to school, do you think that those children who that bully is bullying, do you think that they're going to be happy or sad? Which one? Which one do you think is it going to be? Do you think, and I'm asking you again, do you think that if a bully didn't show up to school, do you think those children are going to be happy or sad? Queen Mother Vivian said, I admit when I'm around too many people, I will wear that mask. I don't know if it is true that 45 contracted this so-called virus. Well, he did go to the hospital. That's all I can tell you. He did. He was talking like he had it. So that's all I could tell you. And I'm not talking about something I overheard. I literally heard him on the news, Queen Mother, talking about that he had it and he was all right. And that he's going to the hospital to get further evaluation. So this out of his own mouth. Okay. So this is the reason why, I feel the way I feel about this situation. Okay. This man is strategically setting up a plan for him to take us back into the Jim Crow era. Okay. All right. When he fought to abolish racist sensitivity training, inclusive with all the other things I aforementioned, such as putting racist known individuals in the attorney general seat, taking the KKK off of the terrorist list every time he's being confronted with whether or not he's a KKK supporter, he diverts the question. Okay. Then called our country, Africa, called it a shithole. I mean, come on, people. Come on. I'm only saying this because I love you, and I'm saying this because our people have to get delivered from this slave mindset. Something has to be said about this. Okay? We get that from the slave mindset. Unbeknownst to us, those of us who support the ones who oppress us, that come from slavery. Our ancestors who were enslaved cooked the ones who enslaved them food, took care of the ones who enslaved them, made sure that they was well taken care of. But the slave master didn't take care of them. The slave master treated them just like cattle. The slave master only ensured that they ate enough to where they had enough strength for them to go back out there and to work their fields and to do what other tasks that they have in order to benefit them. They didn't care nothing about our ancestors who was enslaved. What are you saying, Amar? These politicians will lie to you and tell you whatever you want to hear to get what they want. When really, in all actuality, these racist politicians don't care nothing about us. They only look to get what they want. Forget that he lied to the HBCUs. Forget that, right? Forget that. Forget that he lied to the HBCUs. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to deal with all the things that this man is doing. And the only people who don't see it is these blind fools out here. These brainwashed religious blind fools, okay, who refuse to accept reality. Who refuse to accept reality. This religion has made us docile. This religion tells you to obey your masters, even if they're cruel to you. And to pray for somebody who bombed us, who raped us. Who stripped us of who we are, who stripped us of our culture. Who's saying to hate? They're the ones who got the hate problem. And I got a problem with the way that they're treating us. That's the problem that I have. I got a problem with the fact that they're telling us to pay for public records to access to find out who our ancestors were, or are rather. Yes, I got a problem with that. Here we are, we're found have to take ancestry.com and African ancestry DNA tests just to find out who we are. But we're going to sit here and we're going to act like, you know what I'm saying, we should play patty cake baker, man, with a person who hate us. That we should give them some tender love and care. They're the ones with the hate problem. The African man and woman, guess what? Think about the hate that they have for their kind. How can you blame the African man and woman not to distrust them and to hate them after all the stuff that's done? How could you blame Breonna Taylor family for hating if they did hate? Although they're not that type of family, because the mother is a very loving person with a very kind heart. The same thing with Trayvon Martin. She didn't spew any hateful things out of her mouth. They was just hurt. You know why? Because let the truth be told, we don't have that type of hate in our heart for them. They're the ones that have the doggone problem. These brainwashed, racist people who continue to treat us like trash, who continue to ignore the laws that's in place about discrimination. And African people, we need to recognize these laws that was put in against discrimination, okay, wasn't put in place for the African. These laws that were put in place to defend us, like the Equal Opportunities and the Equal Employment Opportunity Act and the Civil Rights Act and the 13th Amendment and the 15th Amendment. You know what I'm saying? And we got to recognize that these laws wasn't put into place due to our misconduct. These laws are being put in place due to their misconduct. And listen, I'm getting so tired, even though it is a problem. And I will acknowledge that. Let me read what Queen Mother is saying. She said, years and years never being paid fairly and dropped at the drop of a dime, pulling the rug out from under us, stripped us of culture, history, identity, all the thievery, down to our very names. Absolutely, Queen Mother, that's right. They all have used us in a variety of ways, living off of our labor and energy. That's right, Queen Mother. That's right. Now listen, whenever someone speaks this way, this is how you know that the African is mentally traumatized. Okay? This is how you know. When African people start defending racist people, okay, like, you know, the Attorney General in Kentucky and like Tim Scott, okay, when you have African people like that who start defending racism, see, some people get mad. But see, here's the thing. We shouldn't be getting mad. We should be sad. Brothers and sisters, they are brainwashed. We have to stop getting upset with our brothers and sisters that's brainwashed. They're suffering. As Dr. George DeGroot eloquently said, from post-traumatic slave disorder, this is what we're seeing. Any African person that looks up to the one who colonized us, they are all suffering from the post-traumatic slave disorder. Every last one of them. Anybody who does not want to name their child a cultural name so they won't be refused employment is suffering from that. Any person who wants to straighten their hair instead of wearing their natural hair is suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. Any person who doesn't want to wear their cultural garments just so they can be accepted by Europeans are suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. Anybody that's African that does not want to embrace, I'm not mad, I'm sad. Anybody that does not want to embrace their African spirituality because they've been brainwashed to believe that it is wicked, is suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. Beloved, today, I'm telling you that it's not hate, it's called self-defense. When they call us stupid, and then I show you how smart we are, that's called self-defense. When I tell you about the inventions that we created when they call us dumb, that's called self-defense. When I encourage you as parents and grandparents and as elders in your community who are teachers of our youth, in order for you to have curriculum that has pictures of our faces in there and to teach our children about us, that's called self-defense. When I tell you that our spirituality is not wicked, when I bring these things to your attention, beloved, that's not hate. That's called self-defense. Kujicagalia, self-determination, to define ourselves, to name ourselves, and to speak for ourselves. Beloved, I say again, it is not hate. It is called self-defense. It is time for the African or the indigenous people to go back home. Go back home in your mind. It is time for the African or the indigenous person to be introduced to ourselves because we never knew ourselves. We never been truly introduced, some of us, to our true self. We only know the lies that the racist colonizer taught us about ourselves. We don't truly know ourselves. Some of us don't have a clue about who we are. Listen, let me help you to understand something. Grand rising to my brother Jeffrey LaFleur. Unification is racism enemy. When we unify, we can defeat racism. Asheo. My brother said, preach, black man. I feel like Brother Jamal Bryant when you say that. Beloved, let me share this with you. Let me give you an example. Whew. Let me give you an example. And I'm not mad because I have no reason to be mad with our brothers and sisters that are brainwashed. And as for the racists is even brainwashed. A lot of us, we talk so much about how they supposed to love each other. Then, beloved, riddle me this. Why then the Civil War? Beloved, I have to bring my evidence to the witness stand today. And the evidence that I bring that all of them don't love each other like we think that they do, all because of economic favoritism. Doesn't mean that they love each other. The Eurasian is being sent to fight wars that they themselves, some of them are ignorantly blind to the fact that it's over filthy lucre. It's over the love of money. They don't even recognize that. If they loved each other so much, beloved, then why did the Eurasian have to fight against the Eurasian called the British during the Revolutionary War? That's what Independence Day is all about. But we forget about that, don't we? We forgot about the Boston Tea Party, about how violent they were during the time of the Boston Tea Party. We forgot about that. Yeah, I'm going to set the record straight today. I'm going to set the record straight. We talk about the Bloods, we talk about the Crips, we talk about the folk, but there is no gang in the world that has killed more people than the racist European. None of the Crips, none of the Bloods, none of the folks, none of the gangster disciples, okay? None of them have killed more people than a racist European. More evidence I have to bring to the stand. I think some of us, we talk about what happened to the Jews, the Holocaust, the so-called Jews. But I think that we forget about that it was Hitler who had killed the so-called Jew, which are the Ashkenazis and the Sephardics. I think we forget about the atrocities that it was pale skin on pale skin. Let me tell you something. The African has no history of going into the Europeans' country and disrupting their life. The African has no history of taking the European from their land and from their culture and from their economics and enslaving them, making them work for free, and then stealing their land and trying to sell it back to their descendants. Yeah, the African has their problem, but they have their problems too. When you highlight these things, it has nothing to do with hate. It has everything to do with self-defense. So in our defense, you have young Caucasian people who listen to satanic music, who listen to heavy metal music, and are killing themselves listening to these Satanists, just like the African children listen to gangster rap music and kill ourselves. I bear witness that we not the only ones that have our problems. No, I bring to the record stand as well that the women's rights movement was started by, man. The women's rights movement was started by European women, but yet our men, our women rather, our women that leave the African man for the Eurasian and talk about how terrible the African man is. Beloved, you have forgotten about the European enslaving your ancestors and raping your ancestors. You've had a memory lapse. And you've forgotten about that if they were so kind to their women, then why did their women have to fight for rights? Yeah. The African man has their problems, but the European have their problem too. I just simply call it self-defense. In our defense. In our defense. Family, we don't know who we are. And I want to use this example, and in my closing here, I want to use this example. See, a lot of us, we know who we are, but we know about what we are, but we really don't know who we are. Let me use this example. My father wasn't in my life. I only seen my father periodically. Peace and blessings be upon him. Don't mind sharing this with you. My father had mental problems. My father transitioned, and unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to reconcile my relationship with my father. But let me tell you something. I only knew of my father. I really didn't know my father because my father and I didn't build a relationship. Some of us, we know that we're African, but we have not familiarized ourselves with who we really are. I was not familiar with my father because my father didn't have that type of interaction with each other. See, how many of us study about our culture? How many of us research about ourselves? How many of us familiarize ourselves with ourselves? How many of us build that relationship with ourselves? Brother Amar, what are you saying? My teacher is from Africa. My teacher was born and raised in Ghana. I sought him out. I met him at an event. After he finished speaking, I went up to him and I told him, I said, brother, I want to learn. I want to learn. I know what I am, but I really don't know who I really am. I really don't have a relationship. I'm really not familiar with who I really am. Because the only person I know is this westernized African who was born in America by default, who had been brainwashed by these toxic lyrical content words in these gangster rap songs. I was very familiar with that. I was very familiar with the gangsters and the drug dealers that lived in my neighborhood. I was very familiar with promiscuous men and whoremongering men. I was very familiar with that. But I was not truly familiar with the African man or the African mind prior to enslavement. So what I had to do as an African, I had to go to an African. I had to be taught by us, about us, from a man who grew up in our culture. And I had to unlearn the lies that I had learned about ourselves. And so this man, inclusive with my other family member over in Ghana, my good brother who made this shirt over in Ghana, he's one of my advisors as it relates to our culture. He was born over in Ghana, Accra, and he was raised over in Africa, over in Ghana, and I embraced him as one of my advisors. And he was raised in the culture. And as I began to interact with my teacher and him, and I met my teacher's Baba, which is father. And I seen how he interacted with his Baba. And I listened to the cultural teachings of my brother over in Ghana, Ilorum. I began to recognize that the African man and woman and children really don't know who they are, because this foolishness that the African has learned over in America, this westernized, bastardized foolishness, okay, is not the true African way. That is what I recognize. And we have a false perception of what an African is. We think that an African is a person who uses ebonics and wear their pants sagging and wear a whole bunch of gold in their mouth and every, come on, man. See, our women think that being an African woman is using ebonics, calling each other a female dog, and we think that African is calling each other the N-word, and we think that if we're not doing all of this buffoonery, that it's not African. If we're not staring each other down, if we're not using profanity every other word, if we're not acting untamed, then we're not African. We have a lot of misconceptions about what it is being an African. We have people who say they want to be African, but yet they don't want to embrace their African spirituality. Yeah, I see Brother Jamal Bryant wearing African clothes, but yet he rose up against Sister Beyonce when she was practicing Ifa, and in the video, she was talking about one of the goddesses from over in Africa. That's a part of our African spirituality. In her song, she talks about Oshun. But some of these African preachers will wear African clothes, but they don't want to get in touch with their African spirituality. That is an oxymoron. There's no such thing as being partially African. No, we need to embrace our African self in its entirety. Some of you claim to be so conscious. But when it comes to being a person of good moral character, you run away from it. When it comes to the teachings of Ifa and voodoo, yeah. When our teachings teach us to be lighthearted, to be people of uwa pele, of gentle character, of ireriri, of good character, we run away from that. When it comes to getting the heart right, some of us, we talk about being lighthearted. Some of us talk about mayad and our heart being light like a feather. But where is character? There's no such thing as being a half of an African. Either you're going to be an African in its totality or you just playing. You just talking. You call African spirituality spookism. Some of you claim to be Muslim. And I hear some of you talk, even in the conscious community. And this called self-defense, because a lot of us who say we're defending ourselves are not really defending ourselves. We're actually still under the spell of that colonized mindset that we brought over into this so-called conscious world. And some of us will call spirituality spookism. We got to get free, family. We got to get free. We have to get free. I'm talking about completely free. Off of drugs, off of alcoholism, off of this toxic content that's being disseminated. We have to get set free from calling ourselves the N-word and our women calling themselves bitches. And we have to stop justifying using these words, using the word black. Black is not your identity. I'm a Khan. I come from the Asante people. Do you not understand that some of our people over there, they don't call themselves that? They don't call themselves black. I say some. You know why I say some? All the ones who say that they're black, you know who they hang around? Africans from America. Every African that I hear use certain jargon that did not originate over in Africa, that came from America through racism, labels that was put on us here, they hang around Africans from America. Check the record. Any of them that talk about that black stuff hang around Africans that are from America. We have to be detoxed from this racist mindset. And for the record, for those of you who keep talking about we shouldn't vote, go check Bobby Seale running for mayor. Go check Bobby Seale running for mayor. Google it. Go to the African Smithsonian website, and you will see that Bobby Seale ran for office as a mayor over in Oakland, California. Do you not know that they said power to the people? Do you not know that they said power to the people, power to all the people? This from out of Bobby Seale's mouth, who was one of the founders of the Black Panther Party. Did you know that? We got to get set free from these illusions. We're simply fighting for self-empowerment. Power is an energy. It has no color. This is where fight the power come from. Fight the powers that be. What is the power? It's us doing for self and being able to be freely able to be ourselves and to do for ourselves without the disruption from the races. That's power. That's power. That's when we're truly free, when we're free to be ourselves and do for ourselves without the interruption of races. And as long as racist people are sitting in a position of political power, racists are unjust, they fight against the laws, and they will never be just. And we will continue to face voter suppression. We will continue to face gerrymandering. We will continue to face gentrification as long as you have racist people in power. Again, it's not that the system of voting doesn't work. It's because you have people that are unjust in political power who won't allow it to work. It's not that funding isn't coming to some of us. It's the misappropriation of funding. Why do I say that? Because African people work and get federal taxed. African people work and get Medicaid taken out of their paycheck and Social Security getting taken out of their paycheck. And then you're being told, oh, it's no Social Security. Oh, it's no Medicaid. Oh, we don't have the reading material for the children because we haven't received the funding and these teachers are coming out of their own pockets. I know what I'm talking about. I was in Broward when some of the teachers had to come out of their own pockets to pay for materials for the school, when yet we're getting taxed for these things. But some of you ignorant people call it begging. It's called holding people accountable. It's called accountability, family. You're being taxed for these things, but yet the roads are not being fixed. You're being taxed for these things, yet the parents are being asked to come together and bring pencils and paper. Come on, man. Come on, man. But some of you call it begging. Okay? It's time for us to wake up and understand that it's called self-defense. When we stand up, we're simply defending ourselves. We're fighting against the oppression of our people. And that's really the bottom line. It's not hate, it's called love. I'm ending here. I love you all. For those who hung in here, thank you so much for hanging in there. You have a blessed one. And from my queen, Amani, Mari, and I, we greatly appreciate all your love and support. May you continue to have a blessed day and have a blessed weekend. Peace, love, and power.